We've all heard of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's 5-star safety ratings program, but I bet few of us know what it actually means. Helping us understand and better compare ratings today, Karl Brauer from Kelley Blue Book and James Bell, Head of Consumer Affairs for General Motors. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, let's dive into this a little bit. Before we move too far into this, explain what the 5-star crash rating means.
The 5-star crash rating is essentially a representation of how crash resistant or crash worthy the car is, meaning if you get in an accident, how well will it protect the occupants? And when people come to kbb.com, we see them looking at these ratings because more and more people are aware of these safety ratings and they're more interested in seeing how these cars perform. It's really been a shift in the last 5-10 years, the awareness and the desire for a safer vehicle. So they come to Kelley Blue Book, they look up the price, and then they, of course, check out the ratings as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I've seen that rating on Kelley Blue Book, but how, have you been able to quantify this? How important is that, a good crash rating to a car buyer these days?
We actually are able to quantify it. We have a lot of unique visitors visiting the site, and we'll ask them questions, we'll do surveys, and we get a great response rate, and we learn from them that safety is among the top concerns they have. It's right there with like durability, reliability, and pricing. So safety is as important as really some of the other main things that you assume everyone wants to have in a vehicle. And again, that's been a shift in the last few years, but they're all looking at it now.
Yeah, I assume this is where we bring James Bell into the conversation. James, how do the new cars fare? How are they doing right now?
Well, they do well because they're engineered to do well. I mean, we know the standards. We know when they're going to increase the standards. So, on behalf of General Motors and Buick brand, we can then build the vehicle, the bones of it, if you will, to reflect as well as possible in those tests. And I think that's something a lot of people don't recognize. I mean, we obviously have great designers that make the car look pretty. We've got great stuff on the inside of the car. The interiors work so well. But really, the structure of the vehicle is there to protect you in the event of the crash. And then that's even before we talk about some of the technology that's on board to help you avoid the crash in the first place.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at some of this video. We've got the front airbags, we've got the side airbags, but we've also been hearing a lot about these crash avoidance technologies, and because I know they have the blind spot detection, and then you got the rear cameras. Are those part of the crash ratings? Does it affect those?
It actually is starting to affect the crash ratings, and it's nice to see that the agencies out there that test vehicles for safetiness are realizing that they also want to have crash avoidance technology, and they're giving them kind of bonus points for doing that. So IHS, which is the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, they are now adding a higher level of rating called Top Safety Pick Plus to vehicles that do well on the crash tests and have crash avoidance technology to avoid it in the first place. And that's the only way you can get that top pick now, is to do well when the car's impacted, but also try to avoid it in the first place.
Yeah, James, you never show up without bringing a couple cars. What do you have this morning?
Yeah, I like to play with these toys. I gotta be honest with you. Well, we talk about some of the things that allow you to get that plus rating, or again, technologies on board to help you avoid the crash in the first place. I think this Buick Encore is a great example of that. You've got technology here in the front that's called Forward Collision Alert. It's basically watching the road ahead of you constantly, and if it sees that traffic's starting to slow, but you are continuing to put the throttle on, or you haven't released and put on the brake yet, it will give you a warning and say, hey, something's changing up there. You should be aware. The back of the vehicle, we've got something called rear cross traffic alert. Yes, all these acronyms are too much. Rear cross traffic. So you're in a parking lot, you go to back out, there's always that wonder, somebody's speeding down the aisle there, am I not going to see them in my mirrors? Well, now you've got rear cross traffic alert that's watching the road behind you to make sure that, everything changes quickly, you'll be aware. And the one that really, I think, makes the most sense once you get used to it is what shows up here in the side mirrors. It's called blind spot detection, and it's a fantastic feature. In fact, I was just driving a vehicle just like this out to Palm Springs and back over the weekend, and really found a lot of peace of mind and comfort in having that technology on board. Essentially, it's watching the blind spot. So as we're driving, we're all pretty good at checking the mirrors and making sure that when we go to change lanes, we know what's going on around us. But let's be honest, things come up quickly on beside you. Maybe it's a motorcycle you didn't see. There could be a lot of different things that change in that moment when you just start to make that shift over the next lane. And to have that little indicator light come on in the mirror to let me know that, hey, don't turn now, there's somebody there, is just, again, the peace of mind is priceless.
Yeah, I've got that tool, and once you get used to it, it is a really valuable tool. How about a website to go to for more information?
Yeah, if you go to kellybluebooks.kbb.com, we have all the crash test ratings we've discussed, and we also have the information about each car's individual features, not just airbags and anti-lock brakes and stability control, but also these advanced technologies that James was just talking about.
Yeah. Guys, thanks for your time this morning, Karl and James. Great to see you.
All right.
All right, Gary, over to you.